The clock on the mantelpiece ticked with a slow, deliberate rhythm that seemed to amplify the silence in Eleanor's living room. Residing in a picturesque, yet often too quiet, suburb of London, she found herself in a season of life everyone had told her to look forward to. The children, her 3 vibrant, chaotic masterpieces, were now grown, with homes and lives that echoed their own childhood cacophony miles away. Retirement had promised freedom, but after the long-awaited trip to Italy, and the diligent organizing of every cupboard, a profound question began to linger in the air, as palpable as the dust motes dancing in the afternoon sun. What now? Her friends spoke of golf handicaps and cruise itineraries with fervor, but Eleanor felt a disconnect. These pursuits felt like pleasant distractions, beautiful wrapping paper on an empty box. She yearned for something that would make her feel essential again, not just busy. There was an unspoken void, a quiet yearning for a purpose that ran deeper than leisure. Across the vast expanse of the Atlantic, in a sun-drenched Arizona apartment that overlooked a manicured golf course, Sarah was navigating a different kind of quiet. It was the silence left by her husband, Mark, whose hearty laugh had once been the soul of their home. His passing 18 months ago had left a void that no well-meaning casserole or sympathy card could fill. Her distinguished career as a head nurse, a role that had defined her for over 3 decades, was now a chapter firmly closed, memorialized in a gold watch and a generous pension. Her children, wonderfully loving and successful, were scattered across the country. Their weekly video calls were a beacon of joy, but they always ended with the same well-intentioned refrain. Just relax and enjoy yourself. Mom, you've earned it. Enjoy what? She would think after the screen went dark, the silence rushing back in. The days stretched before her, a monotonous tapestry of morning news, afternoon walks, and evening television. She felt untethered, as if her most valuable contributions were locked in the past. For Eleanor, the first crack of light appeared on a drizzly Thursday at the local library. Amidst the notices for yoga classes and used book sales, a simple, elegantly designed flyer caught her eye. Its cream-colored paper and deep green ink felt calm and inviting. The Wisdom Circle, a weekly gathering for women, a space for authentic conversation, shared stories, and heartfelt connection. Explore themes of purpose, peace, and legacy. A warm welcome to women of all faiths and backgrounds. Hosted by the Women's Interfaith Dialogue Initiative, the word legacy resonated deeply. It suggested that her life's experiences mattered beyond her own 4 walls. Hesitancy warred with curiosity. It was held at the familiar community center, not a place of worship which felt safe and accessible. Taking a deep breath, she circled the date. The following Tuesday, she walked into a room that was already buzzing with a warm, low hum of conversation. The air was fragrant with the spicy sweet scent of chai and something floral, like orange blossoms. The host, a woman named Amina, greeted her. She had a smile that reached her eyes, radiating a genuine, calming warmth. "I'm so glad you're here," Amina said, her hand gently resting on Eleanor's arm. "Please grab a cup of tea and find a seat. We're just about to begin." They sat in a wide, open circle. Amina began not with an agenda, but with a question that seemed to plumb the depths of the room. "Tell us about a woman who inspired you, not for what she achieved, but for who she was and her character." The stories that unfolded were raw, beautiful, and deeply human. A young mother spoke of her grandmother's relentless optimism during hard times. Another woman spoke of a teacher who saw her potential. When it was Eleanor's turn, she found herself speaking, her voice slightly shaky, about her own mother's quiet strength and resilience, qualities she now saw in herself but had never named. Amina listened, her attention fully on each speaker. Then she gently wove their stories into a larger tapestry. "What you are all describing," she said, her voice soft yet clear, "is a legacy of character. In the Islamic tradition that I love and learn from, there is a profound emphasis on the inner state of the heart, on qualities like patience, sabr, gratitude, shukr, trust, tawakkul, and compassion, rahma. These are not qualities that fade with age. They are muscles that grow stronger with use." She then shared the story of a companion from the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, a woman named Salama. "Her story is one of immense resilience," Amina began. "She was a widow, a mother, a migrant who lost her first husband and faced incredible hardship and danger. Yet she was known for her profound wisdom and sound judgment. Her life experience had honed her perspective to a razor's edge, so much so that the Prophet Muhammad himself would seek her counsel on critical matters. She wasn't just a listener. She was a trusted advisor. Her later years were not a period of decline, but her era of greatest influence and respect. Her value was her wisdom, born from a life fully lived. Eleanor felt a tectonic shift within her. She saw her 30 years of managing a household, the budgeting, the conflict resolution, the constant nurturing, the endless logistics, not as mundane tasks, but as the training ground for diplomacy, management, and profound emotional intelligence. She hadn't retired from her job. She had graduated from it with a PhD in life. That same week, during another long afternoon, Sarah found herself scrolling through social media, a modern-day exercise in watching life happen to others. An advertisement popped up in her feed. The algorithm, it seemed, had been listening. The Serenity Project, a 4-week online journey. Rediscover calm, clarity, and purpose, blending modern psychology with timeless wisdom. Free introductory. Session, your next chapter. Writing a legacy of meaning. The word legacy was the hook. She signed up for the webinar, expecting the usual self-help tropes. The presenter, Dr. Fatima Khan, appeared on screen. She was a woman with intelligent, kind eyes and a calm demeanor. She began by acknowledging the specific emotional landscape of post-retirement and later life transitions. The loss of routine, the shift in identity, the social isolation. She spoke about it not as a problem, but as a natural, albeit challenging evolution. Then, she began to introduce concepts from Islamic spirituality, framing them as universal tools for mental and emotional well-being. She spoke about Tawakkul. It's often mistranslated as blind faith, Dr. Khan explained, but it's far more powerful. It is the concept of taking diligent, thoughtful action, tying your camel, as the saying goes, and then, having done your absolute best, releasing the anxiety about the outcome. It is the ultimate practice for surrendering the need to control everything, a huge source of stress for so many of us. She then discussed Sabr. This is not passive resignation. It is active, enduring patience. It is the strength to face difficulty without complaint, to persevere with grace and fortitude. It is the courage to keep your heart open when it wants to close down. It is, perhaps, the greatest strength we can cultivate as we accumulate life's experiences. Then, she told a story that left Sarah breathless. It was the story of Khadijah bint Khuwailid, R.A. We often hear her name in passing, Dr. Khan said, but let's truly appreciate her narrative arc. She was a widow. She was a supremely successful entrepreneur and businesswoman in her 40s, renowned in pre-Islamic Mecca for her intelligence, integrity, and wisdom. So much so she was known as Al-Tahira, the Pure One. She chose the young Muhammad, peace be upon him, for his exceptional character, and she proposed marriage to him. She was his first and most unwavering believer, his source of immense emotional and financial support during the most difficult years. She was a mother, his confidant, his rock. She was a complete woman, powerful, spiritual, supportive, and strong in her maturity. Her story dismantles the narrative that a woman's value peaks in her youth. Instead, it shouts that our influence, our capacity for love, leadership, and profound faith can find its most powerful expression in the later chapters of our lives. Tears streamed down Sarah's face unnoticed. It was as if a door she hadn't even known was locked had suddenly swung open, flooding a dark room with light. Here was a story that reflected a potential she still felt, flickering inside herself. It wasn't about going back. It was about moving forward, with the power of all she had been and all she still could be. Inspired, Eleanor became a pillar of the Wisdom Circle. She volunteered to organize a community food drive. With the efficiency of a seasoned CEO, she created spreadsheets, mapped routes for volunteers, and managed inventory. Her lifetime of organizational skills, once used for school runs and family holidays, was now being deployed to feed the homeless. She felt indispensable. Younger women in the group began seeking her, advice on everything from managing teenage children to balancing work and life. She found herself offering counsel not from a textbook, but from a deep well of lived experience, embodying the wisdom of Salama in her own community. Sarah, ignited by Dr. Khan's words, started a blog. She named it The Second Blossoming, Wisdom for the Journey. Ahead, she wrote Heartfelt, entries about navigating grief with Sabr, about learning to trust the unknown future with Tawakkul, and about the unexpected joy of rediscovering herself. She shared stories from her nursing career, reframing them as lessons in compassion and resilience. To her astonishment, comments began to flood in. Women from across the country and beyond, other widows, retired teachers, nurses, and accountants shared their own stories. A digital sisterhood was born, a community of women, supporting each other's journeys, into their most meaningful years. Months later, as a soft English summer settled over London, the Wisdom Circle held a garden party. Fairy lights were strung through the trees, and laughter danced on the evening air. Eleanor looked around at the beautiful mosaic of faces, women of all colors, faiths and ages, connected by a shared desire for meaning. Amina had set up a laptop on a table, and on the screen, beaming in from her Arizona balcony as the sun set there, was Sarah. She had connected with the group online and had become a beloved virtual member. Amina raised her glass of pomegranate juice for a toast. The chatter softened. "We often admire a garden for its spring blossoms," Amina began, her gaze sweeping over the faces, both present and pixelated. "Their beauty is bright and obvious, but the most resilient and deeply rooted plants often flower later. They have weathered storms. Their roots run deep into the earth, drawing nourishment from a place we cannot see. They provide shade, shelter, and sustenance for others. Their beauty is quieter, perhaps, but far more enduring." She paused, making eye contact with Eleanor, and then smiling at Sarah on the screen. "That is what you all are. You are not ending your story. You are entering its most powerful, most beautiful, and most impactful chapter. You are the wise women, the counselors, the pillars of your families and communities. In Islam, we are taught that the best of people are those who bring the most benefit to others. And my dear sisters, your capacity to benefit others with your wisdom, your patience, your love, and your lived experience has never, ever been greater. This is your second blossoming, and it is a breathtaking sight to behold in London." Eleanor felt a warm certainty settle in her heart. Her quiet house was no longer empty. It was a peaceful sanctuary from which she ventured out to engage with the world. In Arizona, Sarah felt the same profound peace. The long days were no longer a void to be filled. They were a canvas upon which she could paint a legacy of connection and wisdom. They had not found a way to reverse time. They had found something infinitely more valuable. A deep, abiding well of purpose, a global sisterhood, and the serene understanding that their worth was not diminishing but evolving into its most potent and beautiful form. Their journey was a living testament to a divine promise, that a soul's capacity for growth, love, and impact is truly ageless.